Hey.
Hey.
Whew, I'm excited about today.
Me too.
What are we talking about today?
We are giving our first impressions of To Be Hero X.
Now, this is sort of the big, I want to say anime, but I'm not necessarily sure I could say anime, but this is sort of the big anime of the year. And the reason I say that is because this is a Donghua. This is a Chinese animated show. It's the first one we've watched. They've been around, obviously, for a few years, but this one in particular is a co-production between a Chinese company and a Japanese company.
Yeah, so I think, right now, anything that's from a manga, a manhwa, a donghua, I think everyone is sort of lumping them all into anime right now. I think Asian animation is sort of being lumped into anime, which I think if that makes it easier for people, then that's cool.
Well, I think with Soul Leveling, though, it was based on a manhwa. It was made by a Japanese company, so it was easier to call that anime. Part of the thing that's cool about Donghua that you can really tell is that they use a lot of 3D animation, which is obviously very different because most anime from Japan, it's almost entirely in 2D. Like, they'll have 3D sequences, but generally speaking, all the characters are in 2D.
Well, I think Japanese anime is still a lot more hand drawn, whereas this was definitely computer.
Yeah, though Toei's going to start using AI. But let's not talk about that. That's not what this episode's about.
Not at all.
So anyway, this show, we kept on seeing things about it, and I was like,
I'm so excited to watch
we'll watch this. So like, whatever, cool, And vibes.
Oh yeah.
Vibes. This is the closest I felt to feeling like Solo Leveling in a while.
Yeah, well, it's funny because, a lot of the time we're like, okay, we give a show 3 episodes, because, the pilot you don't always know, and sometimes you're like, okay, I'm okay with this, but I don't know where it's gonna go. This one, from the pilot, we were like, I am in.
Yeah, it's funny because it falls in that kind of interesting theme, much like Solo Leveling, where it establishes a world that isn't that far off from other things we've seen.
Yeah.
This is a superhero world where superheroes are basically run by corporations, sort of like The Boys or Tiger and Bunny, which we watched a long time ago, which is great. And then it's got, obviously, just the general superhero-ness of like a My Hero Academia or an Invincible. But the one thing that is different about this that I think is really cool is that the heroes get their powers from their trust value.
Yeah, from the trust that people have in them. And it's an interesting thing because, again, this is not a foreign concept. We've seen this before, but usually in anime, in other things that we've seen that have this kind of thing where it's generally gods.
It's gods,
and it's the amount of power, how strong they are, purely strength.
Yeah.
Based on how many people believe in them and how strong the belief in them is.
Yeah.
And that's generally how this type of thing goes.
Totally.
In To Be Hero X, it's different. So having more trust in you does give you more power.
Yeah.
But it also determines exactly what you can and can't do.
Yeah, which is wild.
Fascinating. So it's like you can actually be prevented from moving or prevented in doing something. One of the characters is one where we find out that he literally cannot sit down or lay down or anything because people believe in him as like the man that stands.
That can never lean. Never. Yeah, it's really interesting because you're right, because it's like you get all this power, but it's almost like a curse, right? You get all this power, but there's also like things you need to do or want to do that you can't do because of the expectations of the fans. It's almost like an interesting critique of what it is to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
In the fact that like the fans expect this, the fans don't expect this. I need to act this way because of how the fans expect. But given this sort of more supernatural superhero element, which I think is like really fascinating.
It's funny because when we started watching this, we didn't exactly know how it was going to work. We thought, the character that we started with, Lin Ling, was who we would be following through the whole series.
Yeah.
So that's not the case. So the first season is going to be 24 episodes, or maybe, I don't even know if it's going to be a first season of To Be Hero X, because we'll get into that later. But it's going to be 24 episodes, and it's going to be broken down, focusing on 4 different characters.
Yes.
And we've seen the first 6 episodes, so we've seen 2 different characters so far. But there's this sort of overarching mystery that they brought up that it looks like will probably have to do with all 4 of them. So the final episodes will probably be all of them back for it.
Yeah, they'll all be tied together. It almost reminds me of that. Remember that show Heroes from back in the day where they would have like each person would have their own little life, but then they finally overlapped?
Yeah.
I'm astounded by this show. I think that, first off, the animation's amazing. I was not sure if I could adapt to the 3D look because it's not what I'm used to for when I sit down to watch, anime.
Yeah.
But it was funny because this show, it's really cool. They mix 3D with 2D. And I found myself really missing the 3D when they go into the 2Ds. A lot of people are saying it kind of looks like Arcane, the quality of it. I just think jumping in between the two, it just makes it feel really dynamic.
Yeah.
Like it's like a visually splendiferous show to watch. Like I was feeling like I was watching Into the Spider-Verse at times. I was like, this animation is really good.
We started watching the first episode and you're like, this feels like a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it really does. Like I would love to watch this on the big screen.
Yeah. So the first 4 episodes is about this marketing kid who is working specifically to do promotions for this superhero couple, Nice and Moon. And he messes up and he gets fired. And he goes up to the roof and then all of a sudden Nice comes down. He's this like super elegant looking hero and he just jumps off the building and dies.
Yeah.
And so everyone's freaking out because, they put a lot of money into him. It's like if the biggest celebrity that you cover dies, what do you do? And so they did that like classic like Prince and the Pauper or that movie Dave when we were a kid. And they're like, wait, this kid who works in marketing looks exactly like Nice. Yeah. Let's have him pretend to be nice. And in a way that gives him his powers. And it's like this really interesting thing. And you're sort of stuck in this adventure with like a normal guy. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a Deku thing. A normal guy wants to be a hero. It's not just that he got stuck in this. He actually does want to be a hero, but he gets into it in a weird way. And I thought like, those first 4 episodes with Ling Ling, who has to pretend to be nice, is fascinating. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing because the show starts off with one of the ads that he makes, and it's literally about how the thing about this world is that anybody could be a hero. Any normal person could at any point become a hero.
Yeah.
And honestly, for the first 2 characters we meet, that is the case.
That's what it's
normal
about.
Guys that become heroes. They become more than they were.
Unbelievable. Also, I want to point out that the open song is by Hiroyuki Sawano, and it is awesome.
So good.
He's the guy who also did the opening song for Solo Leveling Season 1.
It's funny because this is technically Season 3 of the To Be Hero series.
Yes.
But To Be Hero is not really a series either. So, like you said, it's Donghua, it's these Chinese animation, and there were 2 previous, To Be Hero and To Be Heroine.
Yeah.
That don't even really take place in the same world. It's totally anthology kind of thing but it's all sort of about normal people becoming heroes. Another one that's sort of connected but also not is Link Click, and all those series are created by Li Haoling.
Yes.
So but the only actual connection is the location, the city that they're in. But like I said, they really all are about how normal people can become heroes in different ways.
I do think the one difference between To Be Hero X and the other To Be Hero series is I think that it's the first one that is a co-production between the Chinese companies and the Japanese companies.
Yeah.
Where I feel like the other ones were purely Donghua. But yeah, guys, the good news is that there's only going to be like 6 or 7 episodes out by the time that you watch this. Yeah. So and we haven't really given much away, and it's 24 episodes of season 1. So what are you doing? Jump on a Crunchyroll or wherever else it's playing, and you should start watching To Be Hero X. It's really great. Or as I lovingly call it, Toby Hero X.
They do kind of combine the two.
I'm just saying, it's a font problem, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do another season if this does really well.
Probably.
Because To Be Hero and To Be Heroine were just a season 1 and done. But then again, this focuses on 4 characters, and there's so many characters.
There's a lot of characters. I also think it's really cool, this idea that there are some... I think this happens more with video games than anything else, but sometimes, like, the entry point is later in the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would assume that most Americans played Persona 5 before they played any other Personas. I think most people probably played Skyrim, before any of the other Elder Scroll games. And the good news is the other series don't really have anything to do with this one.
So it's entirely unnecessary to seek them out in any way. They're also, those 2 are actually, as far as I know, lean more comedy.
Yes.
Whereas this one is it's got some funny moments, but it's a bit more serious.
It's really serious. Yeah. And also like There's a lot of twists and like shocking moments.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of cliffhangers. There's like this great mystery they're developing. How they transition from the Ling Ling arc to the Yan Chen arc is crazy.
Yeah.
It's really, really like surprising. And I really dig it. I think first off, if you're looking for something to fill that soul leveling void, this is it.
Yeah.
If you love like My Hero Academia or Invincible or The Boys, anything that's like superhero but kind of like
a little bit of a takedown of the traditional superhero genre.
Totally, this is great. And I'm also more excited to watch more Donghua. Honestly, I think that we'll check out Link Click soon.
Yes. Oh, I've been wanting to watch that.
I want to watch the all devouring whale Homecoming just because.
What a title.
What's going on with the whale? Why is it devouring everything?
Is it a real whale?
I gotta know. Is it a metaphorical whale? Is it like in Black Clover where they get like giant salamander like gods?
Yeah, could be anything.
Gotta know. But anyway, guys, this show's great. Is it peak? Nobody knows. But you can let us know down below. Are there any other Donghua that we haven't seen or heard of that we should watch? Let us know. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later. Bye.